Welcome to the Vine Resources podcast show. Welcome to another edition of the Vine Resources podcast show. I'm delighted to have with me today Kevin Gibbons. Kevin is the CEO of BlueGlass. Kevin, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Thanks for inviting me.
You're more than welcome. Kevin, why don't we share with our listeners a little bit about your company, please?
Yeah, of course. So BlueGlass is a SEO and content marketing agency based in London, so in Level Lane, for anyone that knows the Farringdon area. And we're 20 people. We have a great group of, I'd say kind of a small group, but elite group of clients, working with the likes of, say, Expedia, River Island, and a number of well-known brands across typically travel, retail and finance. And we've been going since 2012. I've been running agencies since 2006, so we've had quite a journey in an industry that has been changing. I wouldn't even say every year, it's kind of every day, with Google kind of ruling a lot of what we do. So it's been, definitely a very interesting space that's changed a lot during, I've been involved since 2003, so during 14 or so years, there's been a lot of change. Yeah, it's a really interesting space.
And Kevin, just can you give us a sort of sense of, what type of customers you engage with and where they're based, perhaps?
A lot of our business, I would say 75% of our business is probably in London, and we've come to realise that we should basically focus on what we're good at, which is building strong client relationships. We do have some clients that are across the UK and overseas, but yeah, it's kind of a mix of clients of bigger brands, so Expedia is one I mentioned, the FP, through to fast growth startups. So World Remit is one of our clients who do international currency kind of remittance, and Bloom and Wild, the flower delivery company, has grown incredibly well. And again, it's been about supporting their growth along the journey in terms of organic search.
Fantastic. And Kevin, why don't you share with us, as the CEO of the company, why don't you share with our listeners what a typical day in the business looks like for you?
I think this will have changed. If you'd have asked me this 5 years ago, it would have been, I kind of do everything from start to finish, from making the tea to anything. You have to. In an early stage of the business, I think you almost don't worry about job roles. You just get done whatever you need to do. And now I still make tea, actually. But in terms of how we run the business, I've run the business together with my wife. And I would say over the last year especially, we've got a lot more structured around how we split those roles. So one of the key things is this is based largely on a book called Get a Grip, which is a fantastic book in terms of thinking of team structures. And we realised that we were overlapping too much. My role was moved into CEO, which, if you've read Get a Grip, is more of a visionary style focus on the long-term game, where we're going, how do we grow, and essentially, from my perspective, it's more about how do we grow the top line through what we're doing and winning new business. For Chelsea, she's now MD, and her role is more internal. She manages the team, she takes care of our hiring and makes sure that we've got the right team in place to do the best job for our clients. And since we've done that split, I think that's really helped everyone internally know who they're reporting into, and it's helped free me to do what I'm good at, which is to grow the agency, and it's helped Chelsea to do what she's good at, which is to manage the agency and keep our clients happy. So does that help in terms of just giving a bit of an overview? Yeah.
Thank you. And I didn't hear about that book. I read Built to Sell, and it's sounds like I need to have a look at Get a Grip as well. That sounds like a really interesting book. Can you name a person who's perhaps had a tremendous impact on you as a leader? Perhaps someone even who's been a mentor to you, and perhaps why they had such an impact on you?
There's been a few at different stages, and I think that's an important thing, is that actually you need different people around you at the different stages of growth. So I've had someone who's been very good for me from a probably more of a marketing perspective. So how to position ourselves as an agency, how to keep focus on what we're good at. And that's someone called Chris Winfield, who we used to partner with in the US. And he has a very strong mindset, I would say, just in terms of making sure that we're different. I'm working with someone that I've met through the supper club at the moment called Mike Lander, who has now become our chairman because he's offered extremely valuable advice to us, and he's really helped without having a kind of marketing or agency background. I kind of got to the stage of I can answer a lot of the questions on marketing an agency front, and I know enough other people that I can ask questions of to do that. And actually, Mike has very strong expertise in growing businesses and basically just getting to the next level of scale. So he was an expert that was brought into a dinner I went to on how to get to 1 to 5 million. Our challenge right now is we did 1.5 million last year, so that's kind of the perfect challenge for us, is how do we keep doing more of what we're doing and scaling that quality. And yeah, Mike's been a help for that since he's been supporting us too.
Employee engagement perhaps is critical to the business and the success of the business. What do you do from the top to keep your employees engaged?
We've tried a lot of things on this. And I think my learning is it's not always the stuff that costs big money. Like we've taken everyone away for ski trips for 3 years in a row, which is pretty expensive. And I definitely think it's a great thing to do if you can do it. In my opinion, much better when you have a smaller team, because again, it does scale out of control a little bit. But I think in general, it always firstly is based around the clients that we win. So if we're giving people great work, then they're much more likely to be excited in what they're doing. That means they're learning, and that helps everyone just to keep them engaged. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of, I really like the Dan Pink stuff around mastery, autonomy and purpose. I think if we can get people that ideally when we're hiring for roles, we don't really have any generalist roles within the agency. Everyone is a specialist of some sort, and we want them to be masters of that craft that they're doing and become better and better and the best in the industry at what they're doing. Again, doing something of purpose with great brands is really important. You don't want to just feel underappreciated by clients that you're working with, and we've certainly had that in the past, and I think we've made great efforts in terms of almost making sure that our clients are a great culture fit as well, because we know that if we're going to get on well with them and we're aligned with the same goals, it's going to be a success. And I think the opposite is true, that it could be painful if that isn't aligned. So yeah, and again, like smaller things like just frequently just making sure that we know people are doing a good job and they're recognised for doing that, I think is important. And again, we spent a lot of time on our structure. We found that it's nice to say we have a flat structure, which is something that we've gone through recently, but actually adding a bit more structure into things and making sure everyone knows what they're doing and what their career paths look like, and meaning that people can get instant feedback on the work that they're doing has been really important, and something I don't think we've 100% cracked it yet, but something that we're moving into a lot more, and we're conscious that is important for everyone just to keep improving and evolving what they're doing.
You mentioned earlier the fast pace of change for the industry. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing leaders today?
The fast change, 100%. I would say we're definitely, I'd always use the word hectic in terms of what we do. It's very fast paced the way that we work with clients, certainly for people that have joined us, in particular from say larger agencies or in-house roles. There's an initial, maybe a culture shock behind it, which I think is generally a positive. But yeah, I think the biggest challenge for us has become, how do we scale quality? It's the typical agency challenge. If when you're small and lean, you can do great work. However, that attracts bigger clients, which is great. But it means you have to hire a great team that you can't spend as much time with one-to-one. But you still want to keep that kind of elite feel in doing game-changing work. So I think for us, the biggest challenge and the biggest thing I find as a fight a lot of the time is holding back. So it's how do we make sure that we're taking on both sides the right fit clients for us in the long term rather than just chasing short-term revenue. And equally, by doing that, it means that when we're hiring talent, we're bringing in the best people possible as opposed to a quick fix because we've got a new client that starts in next month, etc. So I think actually a bit more patience and a bit more of a long-term vision is really important for certainly for myself and Chelsea and leading the business. I think for most leaders, that's a challenge that I see a lot as well. So actually, it's very easy to get distracted because there's a lot of opportunities out there. So holding back, I guess, would be my tip.
Well, how do you help a new employee understand the culture of your company when they join?
One of the big shifts we've done, and we actually have someone in the office today doing this, is we've offered people experience days. And what that means is before we offer them a job, or before we even know if we want to offer them a job, we're pretty confident we do at that stage. We invite them in for 1 day's worth of work. And it's essentially a two-way interview of which they get to know us and get to see what we're like on a day-to-day basis. And it's our view is let's not hide anything from them because that's stupid. If they find out on their first day of work, they're never going to like it. So let's just show them everything that they will be doing on a day-to-day basis. And it just means that both sides can get a bit more of an understanding. So that's definitely helped. And then it's as much as we can see their work and what they've done, that helps. But I think in general, we probably hire more for culture these days. So we launched a culture book earlier in the year. This was an internal document that we had as part of our process, where we'd gone through not just the vision of the company, but the values that we've defined together, the benefits that we have in employees, and just kind of what's expected from anyone in the BlueGlass team. We've made that public, which had a really positive reaction because a lot of people aren't as kind of open and transparent. And by doing so, we've actually attracted a much wider range of candidates. And I think that's really helped. So a lot of people are attracted to us by the fact that we're quite open with the culture that we have, and that's appealing to them.
That's really brilliant. And what do you see as the one mistake that leaders perhaps are making more frequently than others?
I think sometimes it can be focusing on the wrong numbers. This is where I like things like the Supper Club, because you get people that are very experienced and they've ran big businesses and they just talk what to me sounds like common sense. It's like you're talking about growing for the right reasons, whereas I think some people may focus on the wrong numbers. So it's like, how do we grow revenue? How do we grow headcount? And personally, those type of figures don't really appeal to me. If anything, in some ways it can be distracting and more hassle, to be perfectly honest. And actually, if what we focus on is how do we do great work for our clients in a way that makes sense for us to manage as a business.
Yeah.
I kind of find whenever you ask how things are going, people will give you an answer on growth, and they'll give you numbers that are very, almost say, ego or vanity based, and actually no one really asks, like, what type of work are you working on at the moment? Like, what are you really proud of? So I think for us, it's if we can do great work for our clients and we're proud of it internally, our clients are valuing what we're doing, that to me is a much stronger indicator that, say, 2018 is going to be a great year because our clients are happy and it's going in the right direction. Whereas if you focus on too much on the top line numbers, it doesn't always paint a true picture of what you're doing.
How do you see the industry, or your particular industry, Kevin, changing in the future? And how do you think this will affect your ability to attract and hire the best talent?
So I think it's changing a lot, and this is one of the reasons we hire on culture. If we hire kind of one of those round pegs or round hole style situations, if it's a very clear, precise job description that we hire someone for, you could probably rip it up within 12 months, if not sooner, because the industry changes that quickly. Mm-hmm. So for us, hiring on culture means that actually we're hiring people. Like, one of our values is learning, and if we can, I kind of see innovation as just constantly learning and improving what you're doing. But if we can keep in touch with the industry, that would help a lot. And I think the way things are going for us, I mean, what we do is we drive organic search traffic and revenue to our clients. So if you look at how that's changed in the past, it's based on consumer behaviour, mobile being the big one. And I think for us as an agency, that's where things are going even more so. So mobile first is a big thing for SEO. Voice search is growing significantly this year and expected to grow even to the point I heard a stat last week that by 2020, 50% of searches will be via voice. That gives us a challenge of where we need to go in terms of thinking ahead. App Store optimization, and again, I think this is Martin Sorrell said that, I think this is by 2020 as well, that there will be 15 apps and 40 niche apps and no websites. And which I think may be a little far ahead, but again, mobile usage is only going to go one way, and that trend has changed massively already. So for us, it's thinking about consumer and user behaviours and then matching what we offer as a service to where the demand is.
If you had your time again, Kevin, and you were giving your 20-year-old self advice, what's perhaps the one thing that you'd say?
I always find this question really hard to answer. The reason being that I kind of think if I'd have done things differently, I might not have ended up where I was. So it's like any mistake that I've made, I personally see as a positive, and there's been a lot of them, but I think it's all been things that I've learned from. So I'd almost say I'm not sure I would change anything, because I think it's been part of that journey that every success has been great, of course, but every failure equally has been maybe even more important in terms of getting out the other end, if you like. So yeah, I mean, buy Bitcoin might be one of them. Really, in terms of in terms of real learnings, I find it hard to fast track stuff like that. I mean, mentors are great to tell you from some of the mistakes they've made, maybe more so than the successful things. But I really feel like most of it, whether it's SEO, running an agency, just doing any sort of marketing, you can't be told these things. You kind of have to learn the hard way, and that's when it really sinks in.
Yeah, understood. No, that's brilliant. And what? Look, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kevin. How would people, if they're interested in finding out more about you or your company, should they reach out or connect to you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm pretty active on social media, so definitely feel free to add me on LinkedIn. So just Kevin Gibbons at BlueGlass, or drop me an email. So again, just kgibbons@blueglass.com. I'm more than happy to help answer any questions.
Thank you very much. And look, Kevin, thanks for joining us on the show. And good luck with the business, particularly with all the changes carrying on in the market. And I wish you a nice Christmas as well.
Definitely, you too.